Riveting content. Empowering your life. Welcome to The Sphere. This episode is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. For more information on increasing your cash flow, becoming your own money manager, and to schedule your complimentary personal finance strategy, contact the Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463. Looking to advertise? Join the Sphere's vast demographic reach of thousands of people all over the world. Send an email today to advertise@thesphere.tv or call us at area code 832-772-7789. KOG and Company. Are your unique gifts and talents changing the world? Do you desire to belong to a community of unity? Visit KOGpassion.com to learn more about the Unleash Your Dopeness movement.
Well, hello, and welcome to The Docs on the Sphere Network, where we are here to educate, inform, and empower you on health and wellness topics. I am Dr. Ashandra Batiste, and I'm welcoming you back. Thank you for joining us. And if you are new to the show, welcome. If you want to find me on any of my social media platforms, I am at hotdoc.com on Instagram, and on all other social media platforms, I am Ashandra Batiste. I am so blessed today. The blessings are coming down in abundance.
Cupcake life.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you give fat people, when you give pregnant people, black people food.
What? Oh, my
like,
cupcake has been eaten. And my co-host is back in the building.
What's up, everybody? I miss you guys. Phoenix is nothing without the Sphere on a good Friday day. So, hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Simone Ellis. Of course, you can find me on Facebook at Simone Ellis or on Instagram, Dr. Simone Ellis. And, of course, my office, Smile Design Studios, Family and Cosmetic Dentistry in Missouri City. And I want to say this show is cool because I got a patient off of this.
You did?
I'm not even joking.
Isn't it nice?
It was kind of cool.
It was cool. Yeah. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you. I was excited. I was like, wow, they saw us on the show. They were in Missouri City area. It's okay. So I would like to introduce our guest host today, Faith Hawkins. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about you, where we can find you, and what do you do?
My name is Faith Hawkins, and I am the director of campus services for a company called Family Tree In-Home Care.
Awesome.
And so I'm a nurse with them, and my job really is to make sure that all of our clients, wherever they are very well taken care of. The family is happy, but ultimately they're safe in their home or in a facility. And you can find our company at familytreeinhomecare.com. You can email me, Faith at familytreeinhomecare.com. And then if you're close enough to me, you'll have my phone number to call me.
Can we give that out?
And then also I am on Facebook, Faith K. Hawkins. And other than that, I'm not on any social media outlets because I'm crazy like that.
Really?
Oh, really? So
Yes.
you don't subscribe to like Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat?
I think I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, the man.
Theorist, yeah. And so I can't have him knowing all my good business.
I know that's right.
So I have
It's a
all my
mess.
good conversations.
So you
in
don't have an
person.
iPhone then?
I have a work one.
Wow.
Does that count?
Yeah, because the man will find you with the
You know what
iPhone.
I'm
Like,
saying?
I'm convinced that the iPhones, when the new ones come out, like they slow down your old one. So I think the man can find you because they clearly.
He can probably find
so
me
like
anyway.
so like officially once the 8 comes out.
Oh yeah,
and
like my phone has been
whatever,
freezing
the 10
and so, yeah,
or whatever.
It's like whatever.
They're pushing you
you
towards a newer
refuse to
model.
update your phone.
So listen, like I am afraid
Your phone's like a 4.
It's definitely old. But my case is even worse because like it like literally falls off.
But why?
That
though?
that has
You know
nothing
what?
to do with the
So
man.
let's talk about
okay?
abuse, and when this is what we're gonna segue
Good
into a hot topic. This is abuse. This is doctor abuse. So I got a chance to talk to Faith yesterday, and you brought up a lot of cool topics that I'm excited to talk about when we put our parents, or when we should be thinking about taking care of our parents, or what to look for in a facility for home care. But I think we should talk about a couple of hot topics that you brought to our attention. Let's talk about these Florida residents and this nursing home situation.
Yeah. So now the number, unfortunately, is up to 10 when we're talking about casualties for this particular living facility in Florida, where the patients were really just left to what clearly happened was left to perish because there were no staff available to help get them to a proper level of care when it was time to evacuate.
Oh my
God.
So do we know why the staff wasn't available? Did they just say, I'm evacuating me and my family, so I have to take care of me and my family first, and this job is going to be all right?
So I'll tell you what's supposed to happen and then what did happen.
Perfect.
Okay, so what's supposed to happen is
educate the people.
Okay. So what's supposed to happen is that if there is an emergency situation, like a hurricane, like a flood, etc., and it's planned, you know that it's coming. What's supposed to happen is that key staff from the facility and some of their ancillary staff actually come and they sacrifice time from their families and their friends, and they stay and they hunker down with the residents to ensure that they have staff, food, water, etc. Right? Which I think is great. And what happens with most facilities that's what you'll see.
That's what happens in hospitals.
Exactly. The nurses stay, the doctors
colleges
stay,
when
that
you're
kind of thing.
evacuating. Right.
What happened here, I think that some of the staff was so afraid because of the intensity of the storm that they just said, so I'm taking my people and I'm leaving.
Wow.
That kind of thing. And they did not get the chance to notify the family members of the residents to say, hey, we're not going to have enough staff. Can you please come and get your mom or your dad or your grandmother and keep them safe? So number one, they were not adequately staffed. Number two, when it was time, when you see water coming in the door, when you see that winds are blowing down your fences and your cars outside, it's time to act, right? And so what happened is that the staff did not act fast enough and things got out of hand really quickly. And unfortunately, we thought it was 9, but as of the CNN link today said that it's 10 now.
Wow.
And so they were not able to get to a hospital. They weren't able to get to a higher level of care. And it's just really unfortunate because even though you can't predict a hurricane, you can predict what you would do in case of emergency. And that plan just did not work for this particular facility.
So who would be held accountable for
Right, I was
this?
gonna say, who's
Because, I
responsible?
mean, you know, there's people who still, you know, it's a lot of people that still care about their loved ones when they go into these homes. Like, unfortunately, I think there's a stigma about, like, you don't care about your mom or dad or grandfather, grandmother when you put them in this home. I don't particularly agree with that.
We were
I
just
think-
talking about that before you got in here.
I think that's a really bad, like, I think sometimes it is, but I think most of the times, a lot of people are still, they feel like this is the best place for their loved one. So who's responsible for something like this? Like, is it the state? Is it the director? Is it the owner? Like, who's responsible? Because in reality, I do think that the fear factor of how CNN played Harvey and how all media outlets played Harvey was horrible.
I was about to say, but Harvey was
No,
bad.
it was really bad.
Okay.
It was really bad. But it intensified all the fear with what was that, Irma? Was that Irma that went through?
Yeah.
Irma. And so then the Florida residents are even more afraid. Some people
Right.
probably wouldn't have left if Harvey had
Wasn't
not
so
been
much
as
of
bad.
that. Right.
So I'm just wondering who becomes responsible for that situation.
I think there are multiple players when we think about
Okay.
like the blame game, which is real in this situation. So number one, definitely the executive staff and also the clinical staff of that facility. Because anytime you have a resident coming into a facility, they're more so ranked on their acuity or the severity of their disease. And when you think about moving people to higher level of care in an emergent situation, you want to start with the people who are at the highest acuity. You want to start with your sickest patients, maybe those who are not able to ambulate, they're bedridden, things like that, and then you kind of work your way down.
Okay.
So that was a fail, right? Obviously, because just too many people were left there. So your clinical staff has to be held accountable because those people should have been saying, hey, these patients need to be taken care of now. You need to move them now. Additionally, I definitely think the executive director and probably the owners too. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say the state because the state's role in all of this is to, when they do their yearly audits, they make sure that a plan is in place.
So there
Okay.
probably was a plan.
So there probably was a plan
On
in place,
paper.
but it was but it was the execution. So maybe they never actually had a drill
Sure.
of kind of what to do or something like that. I'm not sure.
Or even if they had a drill, I mean, when it happens in real life, that's when things really
Yeah.
you get tested, you know. And
Well,
like I said, you see us in Houston like rafting down the street and people's possessions floating away. I honestly believe if it had not been for Harvey, this probably wouldn't have happened, because so many people in our coastal cities don't evacuate like that.
Right.
Like, we're just like,
we stay, we ride
we're
it
gonna
out.
stay, we're gonna ride it out. It's not
but
that
I
big of
mean,
a deal.
it's not like the hurricane though all of a sudden like came. Like you said, like I mean, we kind of knew that people have been talking about Irma happening for a while, so there probably should have been some form of meeting about, hey, if this happens, this is what we're going to do. And I think that's what you're saying. But I also want to think about the people's parents. Not parents, excuse me, the
family members.
family members. You kind of are wondering, like, where are they also in the process too? Like, are they in communication with the facility to say, hey, my loved one is here, what's happening? Or if that was my mama, I mean, I'm already trying to get to you. So I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think that it depends. I think that most family members who love their family member, their loved one, called and said, hey, I hear Irma's coming. What is your plan?
Right.
And most likely they were told, oh, yeah, we got a plan. We're going to do this, and this. We're going to move her. We'll let you know. And that just didn't happen.
Gotcha.
The other part about that is just talking about, well, I would try to get my mom. But if your mom is in a really acute state.
Right, you can't.
You're not the best person
Right.
to help manage her medical condition, right? So
Right.
then
Yeah.
it's even worse because you do
Rely on
depend
them,
and
yeah.
you rely
You're
on
relying
these
on that.
people.
Especially in a car evacuating for 20
Right.
hours on
Exactly.
the
It's not gonna
freeway.
happen,
It just
right.
may not happen.
So
Exactly. So I think it's just really, really
A
difficult.
tough situation.
Yeah, it's a really tough.
Because that's the first thing I thought too. I was like, I would just go get Deborah. Like,
Yeah.
come on, Deb. Like, but if Deb needs like oxygen, and
You
all
can-
the
may not
other
be able to do
things,
it,
I
right.
mean, I got some
Exactly.
e-cylinders at the office.
you stupid. Like, I got that nitrous and that oxygen. Right.
I mean,
Right.
I got some H.
You're right. Like, so we good. I know a little bit of CPR. We should be okay. She should be fine.
I'm good.
Well,
I mean, but that's real though.
And another situation that you were talking about as well was the abuse situation that happens in nursing homes. So I didn't want us to change too many subjects, but I mean, let's talk about that too. Abuse that's happening in nursing homes. So that's one form of abuse, neglect. I mean, literally, you're just leaving the
Definitely.
person there. But what about the rape situations that are happening in nursing homes?
Wait a minute.
Right.
Did you not
so
hear about that story?
when she told me, I was like, wow.
Houston, you know.
Okay, what we gonna do before we start talking about raping
Right.
in nursing homes?
Okay,
I'm
well.
a segue into this ad.
Okay.
Because I don't want to interrupt this conversation.
Okay, fair enough.
Get
with
your
this
life.
very important ad. I need
your life.
my nerves got real bad real quick. This portion of the show is sponsored by Houston Housewives of Finance. Did you know that only 4 states in the United States offer financial education? 33% or more than 77 million of Americans don't pay their bills on time. 39% of Americans carry credit card debt from month to month, and 39% of adults say they don't have enough savings. Don't become one of these statistics. Let Houston Housewives of Finance advise you on increasing your cash flow and becoming your own money manager by scheduling your complimentary personal financial strategy. Contact Houston Housewives of Finance today at 1-844-700-4463 or email us at info@houstonhousewivesoffinance.com. Ask us how you can participate in a complimentary financial literacy workshop near you. Houston Housewives of Finance are the new faces of the new age of financial services.
I just want to tell you did a phenomenal job reading that ad.
Thank you.
It's always been a
it's-
tongue twister, and you did great.
Thank you.
Shout out to the
Practice
real
makes perfect.
housewives
of finance
of
because
finance.
because it only took like 6 months of me to say it.
She
over.
really worked on that.
Like I took this today on purpose. Like I was like, let me
This is the
conquer
day.
this.
Right.
Today is the day.
Today's the day. I'll
Obstacle.
conquer it. Today is the day. My mouth is
Killed
a
it.
little dry,
You
which
killed
has
it.
helped. Because any sort of lubrication in my mouth would have had that whole
Oh.
thing jacked up.
I could have went so many words with that, but we're gonna go back into. That's a good segue into rape.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But
my
I
God.
feel like it was the right way to going into it.
That's
so
That's funny.
Yeah.
Not
on
so
a
much,
serious
but
note,
yes.
though, right? So let's talk a little bit of educators because I didn't know about this. Clearly, Ashandra did not know about this either.
I'm glad I missed that memo.
I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah. So a few months ago, there was a woman who was living at a facility here in Houston, and an intruder came in and sexually assaulted her while she was in her bed. And later, the staff found out and reported it to police and things like that. Now, the silver lining of all of this is that they did catch the guy.
Oh, good.
wow.
He had a history of kind of being a creep, if that makes sense. And so he wasn't new to the police, basically.
Got you.
So they did catch him. He's off the streets. But it does bring just to mind that, seniors are a very vulnerable population.
Absolutely.
And we really have to do our level best to protect them, whether they're at home or whether they are in a facility like
Yeah.
this. And
So
you tell me-
this
oh.
person, not the gentleman, but the
'Cause I don't know. She's
Because
a
I don't-
creep. I think that was a
I don't
very
know.
nice
I don't know if-
way.
I don't know if
Jerk?
if-
I don't
if
know. Great
the
way to
spirit-
say
I
was trying
that.
to
the
make
spirit
it
is
sound a little
talking to
better.
me in the right way to talk
I
about
could
this
just see her
person.
say it.
Right. It's a whole
Yeah,
bunch
it
of
doesn't matter.
So right. So
Yeah.
so this person, he did not work there. He
did
actually
not work
broke
there.
in, or he
broke
walked
in.
in.
I believe he came
or-
through a window.
Okay.
He came
got it.
through a
Got it.
window. And so
It reminded me of like have you guys seen Kill Bill? Like the very first episode.
Oh,
Remember like the very first one where like
Yeah, she's
when
in a
in
coma.
the bed and like this guy is
Yeah.
consistently coming in. He's a nurse. But
Yes.
and I was like, oh my God, I wonder does that
Duh.
really happen when somebody's in a coma and somebody who's supposed to be taking care of you and you can't physically take care of yourself. That's what you made me think of. I was like, oh my God, I wonder how big
Is that problem?
Yeah, how big is this problem?
Unfortunately, I think it does happen. I don't think it happens a lot. I think that people are putting standards in place now where they're really fact checking and background checking the people who are working with vulnerable populations, like seniors, like children.
True.
So they're doing ridiculous background checks, and they are going and they're doing testing for different, diagnoses and diseases, just trying to make sure that people are as safe as possible.
Okay.
The tricky part is those people who are not working there, right? Who have not been background checked, but somehow find a way to get in and really ruin the life of someone.
Yeah.
I think that's just
And she was
extremely
like
difficult.
87, right?
And she also had a cognitive disability. So
Oh,
imagine all
Jesus.
this is going on, and then you cannot
Verbally,
effectively
oh my
communicate
God.
what has happened to you. I just think that's horrible. So I do know that several of the facilities here in Houston are kind of ramping up their security efforts, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So that we can be sure that things like this don't happen. But I do think it was kind of a wake-up call to the community, like, hey, these things are going on. It's probably not the first time. It's
Right.
just the most recent time that we've heard of it. And we really just need to be more cognizant of keeping our loved ones safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. So I know that we're probably going to be getting off of, there we go, right?
Yeah. Look at you. Look at you. Look, I've already told
know
y'all that
my co-host.
my
I miss
my kids typically don't let me be all the way great. Okay, like
They can only get
definitely-
an A+ in so many aspects of
They
your
only
life, right?
steal pieces of my shine, and right now my daughter, since about 4:45, she's been stealing my shine today.
Okay.
Well, that's why I was late, because I love her. Jesus, I love her so much. She's the best ever. She almost didn't make it through this week. Like, you know,
Are we talking about your older daughter or your?
yeah, my older. This the baby. She good today, but the older one, she was close to not seeing Wednesday. Like Wednesday was not.
Got it.
Tuesday could have been her last day here.
Wednesday was not
I was like, you ain't gonna see tomorrow. However,
but God.
but God. So you need to go to your prayer closet and thank Him every day for seeing Wednesday. Okay?
She got a war room.
What? She better, because Tuesday night, I was like, Ricky had to come and save her. Like, wait a minute, wife. So anyway, I digress to my week. We are ending Facebook Live at this moment.
If you want to hear more about Ashandra and how her baby might not have made it, come on over.
We can talk about it later. You can hit me up on
They just need to
Instagram.
subscribe to the Sphere. We can keep talking about it.
You can. If you would like to hear more about parenting and the health reasons to save your child, please subscribe. Subscribe to our show. It includes all the major platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, so you don't have an excuse. You can review our show on iTunes. And of course, we only are accepting constructive feedback. We're not accepting anything else besides constructive. Okay. Share this Facebook post with all your friends and all your family. Especially show this is important. I mean, I didn't know that our loved ones were having to deal with potentially sexual abuse in a nursing home. So, I mean, these are little things that you can share and be educated on. And if you don't ever mind reaching into your pocketbook to help us out at the Sphere Network, you can donate at www.thesphere.tv/donate. And that is, of course, to continue to bring this enriched and inspiring content. That also includes me talking about my kids. Because I will inspire you. Right? I will inspire you to keep them around. So just, they're worth it in the end.
We love her. We love her.
So peace out. We'll see y'all next time on Facebook. And of course, keep listening because we're not done talking about home health. And
you need to know what these things to do to figure out which place we're gonna put our parents at.
Yeah. Deb and Aunt.
Or if you're gonna put them anywhere.
They're coming. They come to the crib.
Got it. So follow us, guys. Come on and check us out. So let's talk about that, though. What are some of the things? Because we were talking about that before you got here, Chandra, about Black families and how like assisted living is not necessarily something that we look towards. Like my mother already was like, so where's my room gonna be? Like, so I'm like, I don't even think of like putting her somewhere anywhere. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to figure out this nursing situation. I know that somebody's gonna have to come in and take care of my mom. I'm probably gonna have a camera there because my mom will probably come up with some foolish stories. Well, I don't want to be like...
she already clowns you.
She clowns the mess.
So I would love to see her clown
it's gonna be stressful.
some random person.
Right.
Well, my mom had my grandmother in our home for a long time. My grandmother, who I learned how to cuss from, man, God rest her soul.
It was genetic.
Yeah, no, I mean, she taught me.
Why are you doing this?
Girl, sometimes you got to just hold yourself when life... when life
all showed up like it's her heart hurting.
When life...
like, Faith, do you know some CPR? Like, help my friend.
Girl, I was like, well, it's the wrong side.
Right.
So I couldn't.
I'm holding myself. I'm telling you, it's been a rough week.
It's
been a rough week.
You need
Simone, don't ask me no questions, okay? You asking about my personal life on TV and I don't appreciate it.
I just trying to help her out. I was just like, what is she holding us?
Myself, okay?
got
Myself.
you.
So
I was like, maybe they get too heavy.
Girl,
She got to hold
girl,
up. It's like,
that's definitely off camera because we can talk about these things at any.
let's get back to home health. Home care, independent.
So my mom's mom, Gubby, aka Eartha, what got really sick, and she was a diabetic, high cholesterol, the typical
little rundown.
yeah. And she also, we didn't know if she had a stroke or like little TIAs or something because she lost the ability to walk. Like literally her ability to walk went from like one day she was walking to like the next day barely moving and all this. And so my mom did all this stuff. And so anyway, she lived with us for a while. And then my grandmother, being my grandmother, cussed out like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And my mom was like, God, all right, look, I can't, like, you don't want to be here. You don't want to do this. So she ended up sending her back to Louisiana where she's from. And she was like, I'm not going to no home. Okay. Well, then she went to live with some family members that did nothing for her. So, of course, she deteriorated. And finally, my parents put her in a nursing home.
Okay.
And so that is where she passed away. But, I mean, they weren't adverse to it. It was just like, we want you to be comfortable as possible. So we're kind of leaving some of this decision making up to you. And my mom is her only child. So it wasn't like you had anywhere else like, brother, sister, we about to flip a coin. We gonna play rock, paper, scissors. Like, who's gonna take the blue pill?
Well, and I think that's what you're gonna get into is because like essentially we don't really plan for that. Like we don't have the conversation. So tell us a little bit about that because I know for sure. All I know is Reggie's like, so where my roommate is. So on my mind, I'm like, well, she's got to come live with me. And that's just it. And I'm like, so I know that's going to be like, I love my mother, but
I just hope
a little
that you are still in
My
Houston
future
when that
husband might be
happens.
like,
I
so
cannot.
what we about to do
Yeah.
here?
No, I can't wait.
Oh my God. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous. I'm really nervous.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Because Faith is going to walk me through
I'm gonna give you the tips
how to
work
do
through
this.
To work through it. So the first thing I always say is when you're thinking about considering like in-home care or facility or something like that, the first thing I would say is ask them what they want. Now we already know Reggie done told you what she
Yeah, I
wants.
think Reggie gonna call me off the show
But-
and be like, "Don't be listening to them. I already told you I need my room downstairs." And she'll make me move upstairs so I get the
Like,
master.
yeah,
No,
she'll be
you'll
like,
be-
"This is
you'll
my
be the
this is
kid's
my."
Yeah,
place.
I'll be like, "Hey, mom." Hey, mom. I'm
You be
gonna
like,
go
"Mom,
out
can I
tonight.
use
Go out tonight, but
Can I use your
can
jacuzzi tub?
Can I
Right.
go? Can I use your jacuzzi
Alright.
tub?
I
in
could
the
see
bathroom
Cecilia do
It's
that.
gonna be a problem. Please tell me, babe. Tell me what I gotta do.
So I would say ask them what they want and start having the conversation early. That's probably the number one thing. The number one takeaway from this is have the conversation early. Do not wait, which we typically do. Do not wait until it's go time. And now you're just hustling, trying to figure out we gotta put her somewhere. That's not fair. So what I would do is have the conversation early. Talk about when I get old, do I want to stay at home? So 9 out of 10 people over the age of 65 want to stay at home. They don't want to go to a facility. They don't want to do anything like that. They want to stay home. But where is home? Because if you get to the point where you can't take care of yourself, because most people want to stay in their own home. They don't want to move in with their kids.
Right.
They want to stay in their own home. But if that's not an option, because for most people, it's not going to be an option, right? 65% of people, people 65 and older, 65% are going to have a disability that prevents them from caring for themselves. 65% of people. That's a lot. So if you think about it, you need to get their input to figure out what they want now, so that in the end, what you're doing is executing their plan, not necessarily yours. That's going to make the whole process a lot easier. There's a lot less guilt involved if you're
If you
doing
know.
what they want, rather than you're like, I hope I'm doing the right thing. And you know what I mean? That
that.
difference there, there's a lot less guilt.
Well, you know where she'll be.
Right. It's gonna be at my house.
She'll be at
But
your house.
so I'm gonna need probably sponsorship. But if you're interested in sponsoring the Spear, let's get into that.
Okay.
So this portion of the show is sponsored by the Spear. Are you starting your business and looking for a place to advertise? Do you need to reach out to thousands of people across the world to build your brand or sell your product? If so, get your product placement and advertising needs handled right here at The Spear. We offer a wide variety of content delivering platforms, including iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Plus, we have a vast demographic reach within the United States as well as modern countries across the globe. Our enriched content, inspired dialogue, coupled with strategic ads is surely to hit the mark every time. So call us today, guys, at 832-772-7789 or send us an email over at advertise@thesphere.tv. So yeah, guilt is a thing.
Guilt is a real thing.
And a black people thing. I feel like Jewish and black people, like,
Ooh,
they love them some
it's
guilt,
heavy.
right? It's heavy.
heavy.
So I know
It's
Reggie is, oh yeah, the Jewish culture is huge on some guilt. Like,
Really?
the mamas, yeah, absolutely. So we know that Reggie's gonna be with me. So okay, now let's find out what if I'm gonna have a nurse or if I'm gonna have to put her somewhere if she gets too crazy. What are some of the things that I need to be looking for?
Okay, so the second thing I would say is do your research. If you love, I'm not going to say if. You love your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather, then you have you should feel indebted to them enough to do your research.
Okay.
So what you want to do is you want to look at all aspects of care. So if you, like for example, Reggie, she's going to be at home.
Right.
So you want to look for in-home care. What in-home care is are people who are caregivers who can come and help with a variety of things. Everything from helping you get dressed in the morning to helping you in the shower to helping you with toileting needs, because sometimes we get older and we can't hold it like we used to. They will help with housekeeping. They will check the mail. They will walk the dog. They will help with medication
nanny and a
reminders.
nurse.
They will take you to the doctor, all of that. Okay?
Awesome.
So home care is a great option because you set the schedule. You set the days. So, and they can work with your schedule. So let's say you work Monday through Friday, right? And mom or grandmother is going to be home alone. You could have a caregiver come those hours.
Sure.
So that way she's not by herself. And you have
Okay.
the peace of mind to know who's going to be there. So you want to be sure you have a reputable company, someone who's been around for a while. You
Are
wanna-
there rating systems for that, or is that something that you look
there are
online?
several websites that you can use. For example, senioradvisor.com is one, and caring.com, where
like
these
care.com.
that are national companies that rank home care companies by city.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so those two places are really good. Or Google.
Sure.
You should be able to Google and see feedback from former or current
Got you.
clients for these home care companies.
Sure.
Okay. You want to ask them, what does pricing look like? Because for most home care companies, this is out of pocket. Your insurance ain't covering it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
Medicare is
Oh, no,
not
I knew
covering
that.
it.
I knew
I didn't
that.
know
Yeah,
I
that.
didn't know that. My mom. the
So I
amount
need
of
y'all to
money-
come to my office to get
Yeah.
y'all teeth saved. So my mama have
No,
like,
what? My
for
mom,
real.
my mom spent so much money taking care of her mom at the
Wow.
latter stages because
So like,
of
what's
that piece.
average cost? Like,
Average cost right now is somewhere between $21 and $25 an hour
wow.
for care. That's average. And think about it. So when it's time for Reggie to move in, it's going to be higher because inflation is real.
Wow. And Trump might just no, because we gonna die.
And
Like,
even if Medicare did cover it, by the time we get old, there's not going to be any Medicare anyway, right?
Right.
There's not going to be enough money for that. So we have, which is why I was saying, we have to plan now.
Wow.
Because think about it, $25 an hour for 40 hours a week, that's a lot of money. Out
well,
of
we're
pocket.
entrepreneurs. We understand that.
Oh, I already did that math. I was like, ooh,
That's somebody's
Yeah,
salary
yeah.
for real.
That's a
Wow.
real
Is
thing.
that like an I-9?
Yeah. Right. So you pay taxes on that? Like, is there
Right, right.
payroll taxes on that?
Now,
Wow.
right. So there, now I'll tell all the, this is all the business.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an option. You can have a private caregiver, which would be less, right? You have a private care, which is somebody from church who used to take care of Miss So-and-so,
okay.
or she lives down the street and she needs help and she can come and sit, okay? That's going to be cheaper, right? Than maybe going through an agency.
Yeah, because
You're
the
gonna pay a
agency's
little bit
taking
more.
a piece off of that.
The agent's taking a piece off that, but they're also doing the background
Absolutely.
checks. They have a backup because if Miss So-and-so calls in sick and she can't come sit with your mama, who comes to sit with your mama?
Well, yeah.
Nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have a
That's a good
backup.
point.
They should be insured, licensed, and bonded so that if something happens, you're covered.
Sure.
Right? Things like that. Especially with some agencies, with most agencies, the Department of Aging and Disabilities holds their license. So yearly or more, the state comes in and audits them to make sure everything's on the up
wow.
and up. Right? So you've got options there. You can go private if you want, but you can also go agency, which gives you a little bit more insurance protection. You've got more people to kind of manage that for you. Okay, so that's the home care part. And it's great because, like I said, you set the schedule. You can come for 2 hours a day or 24 hours a day. You make the decision, but it is out of pocket. Or long-term care insurance, which most people do not have, and everybody needs to get long-term care insurance.
I'm
If you
texting
plan
my
on
mama
living
right now.
another day.
Long.
You
I'm
need to
texting my mama right
They-
now.
my dad has been like one of those Uber planners, and I appreciate him for that because like they are only 61, right?
they're young.
So they're
Babies.
young. However, my dad's like, all right, so I'm gonna work another X amount of years because when the math comes out to boom, I'm good with whatever situation I'm in.
Great.
In 15 or 20 years. Like he's very like focused on making sure him and Deb are taken care of as far as those elements, right?
Right.
And then he'll have like
They
insurance
have home
forever.
care insurance though?
Well, so my dad I don't know about the long-term insurance thing, but like because of whatever he set up with Oxy, he's got like this option to have medical insurance for the rest of his life.
But she just said this isn't covered
So
by
this
medical.
isn't covered by medical, but what I'm saying is like things like for instance, my grandmother, she didn't have
Anything.
of these. She didn't have all that. So like he's like, look, we may have to come out of pocket for some of the long-term health pieces, but at least you're not worried about when I need to go to the doctor.
Right.
Like you're not worried about that. And also I know I'm going to bring in just income-wise this amount of money, and we don't even need this amount of money.
Right.
So wait a minute. So what am I supposed to be texting my mama about?
So text
Do you
everybody,
have
pull out your phone
long-
right now. For some mamas who don't
Long-term-
text, write it down so you can tell about it later.
Because I need to know because we not over here got a plan. So
Listen,
like,
that's what I'm gonna help y'all out. Okay, so what you need is called long-term care insurance. This is more so under your life insurance umbrella.
Okay.
What it does, it says that if you have either a qualifying medical condition, so these are like your Alzheimer's, your dementia, cancer diagnosis, etc., or if you can prove that you need help with bathing, or you need help getting dressed, or you need help getting on and off of the commode. If you can prove that, they will cover a certain amount of home care per month. Now, depending on the plan that you buy, what I see usually is a really good plan I've seen, they will cover $500 a month. You can use it all in one day, or you can spread it out over the month, but you've got $500 a month.
well, Reggie
okay?
just told me no, so you need to go get it.
Bring
like,
Reggie on the show.
Mama.
I don't even know her.
Reggie,
Mama.
Reggie needs a call in.
I'm like, mine. So like, listen, like,
that
what's
is
going?
hilarious.
Like,
She's like, what I need that for?
My daughter's a doctor.
Have you? What do I need? You're my long-term care.
Right.
You are my insurance.
I've been paying into you for all these years.
Right.
I will get
You
return on
need this.
investment.
Right. She's like, so you want to see my receipts? You want to see my receipts?
This birth certificate.
Right.
This is-
Right. You're right. So wow, and I didn't even know about this. So now I'm like, how early do you get it?
So usually you get it in your 40s.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me go ahead.
You know, I'm 25, so I don't need that.
Girl, we're
for
still
life.
young, girl. I'm still young.
I ain't lying to nobody.
You like, let me go.
40 is
and the,
How about Quinn? How about Quinn? Quinn don't need to be.
Quinn know her mama old girl. Quinn know we working with a prayer and a hope. Okay.
So 40 years old.
or usually around your 40s. And the reason why I tell people to do this because a lot of older people who bought long-term care insurance, the companies never really thought that people would really cash in the policy. Okay? So now that people are cashing the policy, these insurance companies are like, oh my God, I'm going to have to start paying out. And I never plan to do it. So a lot of companies have stopped selling long-term care insurance.
Of course they do.
Because it's expensive. So now I'm saying get it while the getting is good.
Right.
There are only 8 companies in Texas who sell long-term care insurance.
Now,
It
once
is
they go out
worth
of
it.
business, though, and like, will I be getting my money? Like, what happens?
It's secured,
Okay.
right? So it's secured. But
I guess I should get it now too. I mean, I'm 25, but I mean, you never know.
You got to plan for the future.
you got to pay for the future. I'm telling you, I called my mom
Long-term-
about
what's
this
it called?
immediately. Long-term care insurance.
You texting Deb?
I'm texting. Deb don't know what's in the account. My daddy be like, you got $5 to spend this week. So Deb don't know. Dad, just make sure.
Just
I know
look
you
into
good.
it. This
is good.
Just look into it.
Just look into it. I definitely
Love
think
it.
it's worth it. It covers, and the other thing about it, long-term care insurance, yes, it'll cover somebody coming to your home, but let's say that it gets to the point where you need a little bit more care. We talked about acuity before, right? So your acuity changes, and now you need more care, and you need to go into a facility. Long-term care insurance will cover that too.
with the same amount, or does it go up if your
Usually,
acuity
it depends on the policy.
Okay.
So
But you
some-
saving coins regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now maybe instead of getting like a B level facility with your regular income that you had, now you've got this long-term care insurance that's going to pay an extra $400 a month.
Sure.
Now you can get something a little better.
Sure. Well,
Got
and I
you.
mean, knowing Deborah, Anthony has already told me he doesn't want to live with us. He's like, y'all gonna have these kids running around. I ain't have time. Mom is ready to move in.
Yeah.
And so if I could be like, Mama, my house is more, I'm not top shelf. I'm, we got hardwood floors, but.
You gonna be fancy though.
You want this
like
upper crust?
Right, no, but I gotta sell it. Okay, hold up. Okay, I'm not talking about my dreams.
Right.
I'm talking about what I'm
Your
gonna tell her.
realities, right.
The way I'm gonna package
Right.
this.
Mama,
Mama.
look, they got excursions.
Right.
Y'all go to the zoo.
Y'all go to quilting class.
Okay.
Big
They got a
old
concierge.
Right.
I love it.
Right,
Boo
yeah.
opportunities.
Right.
So my mama, I'll be like, hey, you got an opportunity to meet somebody.
Just
My
saying.
mama talking about she gonna go meet somebody at a quilting class. I said, Reggie, what are you talking? Okay, sidebar. Anyways, continue. Go ahead.
So yeah, long-term care insurance. Look into that because
Okay.
I think it's great.
We gonna
And
get that.
also the VA. If you are a veteran or if you are the spouse of a veteran, even the surviving spouse of a veteran, look into those benefits and start looking into them early because it takes about 6 months to a year for the VA to do anything. But it's worth it if you do it.
I agree with that. So this portion of the show is sponsored by KOG and Company. Are your unique gifts and talents changing the world? Unleash your dopeness in a people empowerment movement built to encourage the masses to operate outside of their fears and have the gall to recklessly pursue their dreams and passions in life. I know this is like such a cool ad because I want a KOG shirt. She told me she's going to give me one. Join thousands of the others as we unlock the greatness that dwells inside. Shop dope gear at KOGpassions.com. That's KOGpassion.com and use the code DOPE for 10% off of your exclusive Unleash Your Dopeness apparel. So act now. The sizes are selling out fast. So cool. All right. So now we got the insurance policies. We good to go.
We got our little VA or we got a little money. That's how we're going to pay for all of this,
Right.
right? And so we'll go back to kind of what are your options, right? So we talked about home care, what that is. Then we talked about home health, which is what most people are probably used to. That's when the nurse comes, she'll check your blood pressure, the therapist comes, things like that. Now, the great thing about home health is that's covered by Medicare. Hooray, they're doing something, right? So Medicare will cover it. You need a prescription for it, though. Okay, so home health is like any other prescription. Your doctor has to say, I prescribe a nurse to come out once a week.
Sure.
And I want a therapist to come out twice a week, something like that.
Yeah.
Now, those visits are going to be 45 minutes to an hour at the most.
Okay.
Okay, so they are helpful because you got someone coming out to check on you at home.
So can they do that like during date night?
No.
Okay. I'm
No.
just thinking like you have an hour out, so like you don't want to pay for somebody
Unless
to
you
be
want
there,
to have
like-
a date day.
Okay.
You want to have a date day?
Well, you'd have to have home health and the care provider.
I was gonna say, but you could use
do
your
both.
home health. Like
You could
you're
do
gonna cut your costs. Be like, I need you to come from the
Yeah,
hours
and most of the
7
time
a.m.
we do
They're there to manage.
not to be.
You're right.
Not to
Right.
be
You can't leave the
babysitter.
kids there and be
Gotcha.
like, the nurse is coming.
Right.
I'll be back.
Or,
I'll be
I'll be
back.
back. I'll be back.
Right.
That was what I was thinking. I'm trying to stretch my coins as much
I
as possible.
understand. Hey, I understand. But I think home health is a great option, especially if you have recently been discharged from the hospital, which will happen. You have a fall, something happens, you have you got COPD, you're diabetic, you got hypertension, something may happen, you end up in the hospital, you go home, you want the medical management of your condition, which is the nurse and the therapist or the speech therapist or whatever. Medicare will cover that. It's great, right? But it's only an hour a day. So if someone needs more care, you would have to pair that, you know what I mean, with home care. You
That's
would
what I'm
need
saying.
both.
You'd have to. You would have.
You have to put
pair
them
it.
together.
I know.
Home health and home care, both of them.
Okay.
Just together. We're gonna have a team.
We're gonna have it
It's
really
a
takes.
Squad.
It's a squad.
It takes it.
Eartha
Okay,
takes
so-
squad. 'Cause she
Yeah, it's a
was-
lot.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
lot.
and my other grandmother, who had dementia and Alzheimer's, ended up needing a squad as well. Like
Wow.
she needed like a little bit of every. Like she needed family, nurses, and
Everybody.
Wow.
All hands on deck.
Everything, because I mean, she went from like one of those like. What's your name? Like that to like not knowing that person and then choosing not to even eat. Like one of
Gotcha.
those things. Like you're like, oh man, like not even taking her medicine because she would hold it like.
Pocket it and all that kind of
Well, because she would like forget to swallow. Like it's
Oh,
it's
wow.
actually an interesting. I mean, it's a horrible disease, but it's interesting in the things that it allows you to forget, like swallowing.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So kind
like,
of your basic
And
things
just,
that
like,
you don't
hold
even
it.
think about anymore. Like you have to walk through everything. I have a client right now, and she has dementia. She's also had a stroke, so she kind of got a double whammy, unfortunately. And so she can brush her teeth, but you have to walk her through every single step. So you have to tell her what the toothbrush is for,
wow.
because she's like, I know what this is.
But I
But
can't.
I can't
Wow.
make the connection in my mind. So you have to say, put the toothpaste on here. Now do this, and we try to give her that independence.
Yeah.
We're not doing it for her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She needs to have purpose. She needs to be able to do this for
Right.
herself. But it's just very interesting
Seeing that progression.
seeing that progression.
Yeah,
in her. So it'll happen.
I think that one of the way that's just such a horrible way to go. Like it is. If you're gonna take my body, fine. I can't. But man, take my mind.
Well,
my
see, that's so funny
mind?
because my grandmother, she was 93, and like my grandmother is just as feisty as my mother is and independent. And so she was like, so wait a minute, I'm forgetting to eat. Y'all just don't feed me. I'm out. And like literally within 2 weeks, she just died because she was like, I can't lose this sense of like myself. So I completely can understand like where it's interesting to watch that. And if you're independent, and you don't want to lose that independence. She was like, I'm gonna go eat with God. That's what she told us. And 2 weeks later, she died. So I was like, wow. And I actually found a lot of peace with that, because I was
It
like,
was her decision.
and
on
I
her
knew exactly
terms.
who she was. I was
Oh,
like, she
no.
would not like this. Nobody changing her diaper.
No, I literally, when my grandmother, went to go meet Jesus, I was like, no, that's the best place for her to be, because watching your loved one in this situation is so, when you care, is so sad and so stressful, and you're not even talking about the financial stresses. You're talking about the emotional piece that's why having these conversations before they get sick is so important with siblings. Because my dad and his siblings, it was like World War III, because she wanted to do this and somebody wanted to do that, and where's the paperwork for this, and it's like, oh my God, like who knows what she wants, because now she can't tell us.
Yeah. And I think that that's even important to have that conversation. My dad unfortunately passed away last year. And so like he went from having a stroke like in the morning where they're like, oh, he's 90% recovery, to that night coding. And then for a whole week, like being on life support. And so it was a very big, I think, emotional battle for my mother to make the decision of when do you take somebody off. And I mean, that's, you go that far as home care, but I mean, that is a very big emotional,
too, right?
yeah.
I mean, like,
it's an emotional
something
thing.
to talk
So
about before as well.
Right.
Like, how long do you want me to be on if I'm on life support?
Right. And so we had that
Exactly.
conversation.
You
We
know?
kept saying, my dad would never have wanted to live like this. He never would have been like, yeah, come clean me out. Like that wouldn't have been him. So I think having those conversations early, like you said,
It's so important.
I mean, at different, not even just about like home care, like that part, but even like, are you gonna what is it called? Do resuscitate like your
Right, DNR.
all that stuff.
Little
so.
things like, do you have insurance? If so, where's the policy?
Right.
Where's it? Who has it? Is it?
But do you
is it
find
paid
that
off?
sometimes and I don't know, I always speak from the Black perspective because clearly I'm Black, but what, did you know that? You know my dark emojis don't come in my life anyway, so neither one of y'all.
Peanut gallery over here.
Yeah, I was like, neither one of y'all know I'm dark skinned, so anyway, because I'm dark skinned in my life, so
options. I was like,
can we get back to like,
have you updated your phone?
I was like, nah. So I said,
so bored.
I went to the producer too. He was like, Simone. I was like, I'm gonna change all my emojis to be this color, so y'all really know who you dealing with. What was we even talking about? Conversations. But no, I think that that's super important. But I think from a cultural standpoint, sometimes we don't even want to talk about these things. We don't want to talk about what do you want to do when you want to die. We don't want to talk about where our parents are going to a facility. Because if I was to throw that at my dad, he'd be like, I don't care. I ain't living with you. My mom would be like, so this is where I want to stay. I want to have this room.
Right.
This is my linen.
I want to.
Like, can I have
my
a separate
robe? Right.
wash closet?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, like this would be it. So do you think that's a cultural thing, or do you feel like that is
I don't know
those
if it's
conversations?
necessarily more of a cultural thing or if it's an economic thing. I think that if you've been put in a position where financially you have more resources, you know more, you are exposed to more, and you're more comfortable talking about where this money will go, right? But when you don't have a lot, and you're living day to day, month to month, thinking about what may happen 30 years down the line is just not a priority because you're trying to get through today.
Right. That
I
makes
don't
So
think
even
that's
thinking
good.
about taking care of your mom and she's 55 and on her feet and doing perfectly fine, and you're barely living day to day or you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're like, I can't talk about this right now.
Right.
Like,
there are bigger fish to fry.
right.
There are bigger
right,
fish to
right,
fry.
Right.
So-
And that's understandable. That is actually
makes
a very
sense. And it
understandable
makes total
piece.
sense.
Yeah.
And
It
that's
really
why I
does.
may have thought it was cultural because a lot of times that's impacting our
Sure.
culture.
Well,
so.
and I honestly think this happens in a lot of, just kind of low economic status communities, period, because the true stresses of day-to-day life is the exact same from culture to culture as far as paying your bills. Like, every culture has bills that we all have to pay, and if you are trying to take care of bills and somebody that needs more money, you're like, I can't even imagine paying for you and a nurse and
Exactly.
blah blah blah. So what ends up happening is those old folks stay in those homes, and then every summer we have these like mass call outs in Houston to bring ACs to people's houses, the big AC units that they say, hey, we need AC units for these elderly people that are living in their houses that don't have AC. We don't want them to die, because their kids aren't even able to get them an AC unit, or they don't have the money, they don't have the savings, they don't have the, like, just simple things when you think about it. But it's extraordinarily simple when you need it, but when in thinking about it for your future is complex.
Yeah. So that's why, again, I think it's great that we're having, the docs kind of feature this topic, because people,
mean,
if you don't think
really.
about it, you don't know. You don't know.
You don't know. That's what I said. I was so
literally
excited to
do
talk
not know.
about this because I'm like, I wouldn't have thought about this. Hey, cutie. So let's talk a little bit about when's the right time to, when is the right time to move them to this facility?
That's a good question, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get pushback, right? Because nobody, like I said, we said 9 out of 10 people want to stay home, right? People want to stay home. So when do you know when it's like, okay, now it's go time? When do I
Right.
actually have to enact the plan? Number one, I always think about, is mobility an issue, right? So perfect example you gave was your grandmother, where you go from being able to walk and move and ambulate on your own to I can't walk anymore. And now someone's having to lift me to put me in the chair or lift me to get on the commode. That's a good sign that, okay, maybe we need to do something different because number one, the physical toll on the caregiver, if you're a family member, is a lot.
Yeah, it's heavy.
You know what I mean?
Sure,
It's
sure.
heavy. And then also that usually that denotes some type of physical change from a medical condition. And we want to figure out what that is so we can know the best way to treat and plan for it. So usually if mobility is an issue, that's one thing. Secondly, I would say when medications and personal care tend to take a back seat. So if you notice that, mom usually always, to come to her house, she takes her medications, she has her little pill box. It's not a problem. And you come in today's Thursday and you look in her pill box and she hadn't taken Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Or something like that. I would say just keep that in the back of your mind because you want to see if that's going to be a pattern. Is she going to have a history of doing that?
Gotcha.
Or if you notice that usually mom is very well put together, but I came over today and she kind of was disheveled and she, I don't know if she's taken a bath this week, that kind of thing. So when your medications or your personal care takes a back seat and you know that was usually a priority for someone, you would start thinking about, okay, I need to do something else. Another thing I would think about also would be, is the illness or disease becoming more than you can really manage well? Okay. It's great if all you have to do is give somebody their medication before you leave in the morning and that's it, you're good. Or maybe help them out with a shower every now and then. But if you're having to get someone up, feed them, bathe them, change them, get them into their chair, do their hair, that is a lot, especially if you are also a wife, a mother, you're on the board at church, you are trying to go to the gym, you are trying to do all
Right.
these, you're trying to get your hair done. It's a lot.
I was going to
It's a
say,
lot.
I think we see that sometimes manifested. I know I do as far as my patients where they're like, I haven't seen you in like 3 years. What happened? And I'm just like, well, my mom got sick and then that became a job itself. And so you almost see a decline in the health of the
caregiver.
person and the
Yeah.
caregiver, you
Yep.
know, and definitely, wow.
So caregiver burnout is a real thing. That's the next thing I was going to talk about. Caregiver burnout is a real thing. It's very, very difficult to manage. It's difficult to manage one life.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to love the Lord and go to church on a regular basis and go to
balanced,
work
right?
and all this kind of stuff. And on top of that, I have to manage someone else's life. That is really difficult to do. And you will burn out to the point where you are not even willing to give your loved one the care that they want. You will get to that point if you don't take the time to self-care. Right? And sometimes self-care is bringing someone in the home, or it's moving your loved one somewhere else where they will really, really be taken care of very well. Because it's not healthy for them to stay in your home for the heck of, I just want to live with my child.
Right.
Sure.
Right?
I
If
don't
that's-
wanna go there.
I
Yeah.
don't want to go there. If it's not safe, or if there's going to be so much drama and anxiety involved with your family being
Right.
a caregiver, then
Like
the
your
next
mental
best
health
thing
becomes a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah.
thing is just to move somewhere where you know they're going to be taken care of.
Yeah, it's a hard decision. I think that people struggle with it. Most people that love their loved ones want them to be, especially like when they're still married, like the wife is doing fine, but the husband isn't, and they have to make a call.
That is hard.
That's a hard decision because
Yeah.
the wife is now old,
Right.
or vice versa, and the husband is failing, and it's like, well, but it's through better or worse. Like, I
Right.
don't want to put him anywhere. I wanted him to be right here, but you can't take care of him.
Exactly.
Well, and I feel like you
You
did
know?
a really good job of making sure that, I mean, even from my own perspective, I'm like, wow, I didn't think of these things to talk to my mother about. But, you know, at some point that conversation needs to happen because, I mean, I'm just as important as that person too. And I want to be able to do my absolute best job of being a really great caregiver to my parents. And it's going to be important to make sure that balance is there. So do you have any like take home messages that you want us to have?
Take home messages. Like I said initially, have the conversation early. Even if you're not even close to needing home care or close to moving into a facility, just go visit.
Yeah.
Go visit, see what's out there, know your options so that you can make the best decision possible. You have to advocate for yourself, right? So in order to do that, you need to be the most informed person there is. So have the conversation, even if it's difficult. It's only difficult when you start it. After that, it gets better.
I love that.
So don't be afraid to have the conversation. And if you have questions or concerns, like ask somebody.
Yeah.
Ask somebody. I would definitely say that.
Well, you know what wasn't difficult?
What?
This show. This was awesome. It was awesome. I learned so much. And we want to thank you so much for coming out to our show.
Well, thanks
so
for
tell
the
us where we can
invitation.
find you again.
Thanks for the invitation. Again, you can find me. Number one, you can always visit our website, which is familytreeinhomecare.com, or you can email me, faith@familytreeinhomecare.com. Pretty simple. You can also find me on Facebook at Faith K. Hawkins if you ever have any questions.
Well, awesome. Well,
You
I
gave
am.
some great information.
I am super excited.
I'm glad.
I'm gonna go home and now have this conversation.
Let
And
me know
so,
how that goes.
Good luck.
It's gonna be great. We'll get on a group chat. So, guys, if you want to find out any more about us, please make sure you again follow us on all of our social platforms. Make sure that you give us feedback. We love to hear what you have to say, but we also want to know what you guys want us to talk about. So please make sure that you hit us up. Let us know what we can do to bring to you guys the content that we need. Of course, I'm Dr. Simone Ellis. You can find me on Facebook at Simone Ellis or on Instagram, Dr. Simone Ellis, and of course at my office, Smile Design Studios. I'm gonna just do a little plug. We are having a free day of dentistry October 7th. Chandra, I'm gonna call you because I already put you on the list to help.
My son just took my phone,
It's
so I need to
okay.
make sure it's in
It's
my
all right. I'm
calendar.
gonna hit you up on email. But if you guys need to have anybody that needs dental care or service, it's a first come first serve basis from 9 to 2 at Smile Design Studios. So you can find out more information about that at www.sdshouston.com. Let me kick it back over to my beautiful co-host.
Thanks. You're so kind.
I'm just like the best. Like,
You're
right?
so
I'm the
kind.
best.
Like, I adore
not
you.
only like cupcakes, and I almost said I wasn't fat. I was trying to say black. Like I don't know if you heard them. I was like blah. So it's like, I'm a black girl when I get happy when I eat. So like,
I do too. I do a little dance.
It's a dance. I feel like black kids do that.
This,
I'm
this
like,
small cakes.
It's
cupcakes
everything,
was
right?
Just everything that I needed today. So once again, thank you guys for joining us on the Docs on the Sphere Network. We appreciate all your support and love and feedback. Of course, like Dr. Simone has already said. Well, I would want to thank Faith for coming. I always appreciate hearing about how to take care of some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and so it's good to know this information so that we can take it and do what's going to work best for our families. Of course, if you want to find me, I'm on Instagram at hotdoc.com, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Snapchat. I mean, I'm never on Snapchat, but
All
if
the
you
things
just want to
we're not
follow all of that, Ashandra Batiste. And of course, I am a dentist. I will be offering my free services at Dr. Simone's
come
Free Day
meet
of
the doc
Dentistry.
team.
However, my own practice is Elite Dental Wellness, which is located on the corner of Fondren and Westheimer. You can find me there at 713-789-8680, or you can make an appointment online, which is www.houstondentalwellness.com. We thank you again for joining us on the Docs.
And
we will see you and talk to you next week.
Why my mama ain't respond though? Bye guys.